Man, those guys are awesome. Can you come introduce me at work all day tomorrow? Yeah. Great. Hey, I'm David Copeland, and yes, I'm here tonight to talk to you about bad dads and why they piss me off, a journey to fatherhood. Now, sitting out there right now, you're probably thinking to yourself, David, why so angry? Well, to understand my anger, you must first understand my journey. You see, I grew up without a dad. My father died when I was very young. I actually have no memories of him, and as a matter of fact, the picture you're going to see next is one of only two in my possession of me with my father. As you might imagine, growing up without a dad was a hard thing. I can recall many nights sitting alone and having talks with God and asking, Lord, why me? Why must I grow up without a dad? And I would just picture and fantasize what it would be like if I'd had a father. You know, I thought, if I only had this thing called dad, I would be good at sports. I'd have this person that would spend time with me and throw the football to me so I could catch it, or perhaps throw the baseball where I could catch it, as opposed to running in fear, which was my normal reaction. I thought, if I only had this thing called dad, I could fix things. You know, when my mother was struggling with the things in the house that were going wrong, I would know what magical tool to pull out of that toolbox to make everything work and make it all right. I thought if I had a dad, my dad would be the coolest. He'd be the guy that would be taking me hiking and fishing and camping and all those things that I, at least in my little fantasy, wish I had a dad world, I thought my friends were doing. Well, that was not to be for me. But now fast forward in my journey to August of 1997, and that's the day that my son was born. That's his picture. He's sitting out there right now. And when I saw him for the very first time, all that fear and all that past went away, and suddenly I had the promise of the future that I would have as a dad. Now fast forward 9 months, and that's when I felt the lump. I'll make a long story short, but there were 3 tumors underneath my arm, 2 on my neck, and later on through surgery they found out that cancer was throughout my lymphatic system. It was melanoma. And if you know anything about melanoma, it's one of the worst cancers that you can have. So of course, for me, my thought was, not about me, but the prospect of my own son growing up without a dad as I did. And I thought, well, what do I do now? As you can imagine, there were some long conversations again with God. And I thought, if I become an opportunity to keep going, I'm going to be the best dad ever. And 13 years later, it's a miracle. I am standing up in front of you tonight here at IgniteOKC. And I want to talk to you, Dad. And I want to talk to you, Dad. Because being a father, it's hard. It's a tough job, isn't it? The only thing I think that's harder than being a dad is probably being a mom. But no matter how hard it is, it's not near as hard as it is to be a kid. You see, your kid didn't have a choice. They're stuck with you as their parent. They don't have a choice on where they live or what kind of environment they grow up in. And you think it's hard to be a young kid, just think about how hard it is to be a teenager. I've got one myself, and I know what it's like as they're trying to figure out and discover who they are, and they're trying to figure out who they're going to be in the future. So I would think now, after hearing my journey, you understand a little bit why I'm so angry. It's really more of a heartbreak. But if you aren't angry yet, I'm going to share a few numbers here with you. Did you know that in our country right now, 43% of our children are growing up in fatherless homes? 71% of those end up dropping out of high school. The saddest number of all on this chart is that 63% of youth suicides come from children from fatherless homes. So your question now is probably, well, what can I do? Well, the first thing you can do, dads and moms, is be there. All your kid really wants is to know that you're willing and wanting to spend time with them. You can be an example through your attitude and your actions. Love them. Not maybe as you were loved as a child, but how you would want them to be loved as a child, and simply just do your best. Okay, I know I got a bunch of dads out here, so dads, raise your hand because I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. Are you ready? I am a dad. Louder. I am a dad. I matter. I will do my best. All right, dads, you know who you are. You know that you matter. and you know your simple call, which is to do your best. And I'm going to ask you to do that tonight, because believe me, you do not want to piss me off. I'm David Copeland. Thank you very much.